Hello, everyone, and welcome to Study English Online podcast. I'm so happy you're here with us today. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Michael. Thanks for tuning in. Whether you're listening while cooking, commuting, or just relaxing at home, we're excited to spend this time with you.
You know, Michael, before we start today's topic, I have to ask you something I've been curious about. When you were young, maybe 7 or 8 years old, what was your biggest dream?
Oh, wow, you're taking me way back. Let me think. I remember very clearly that I wanted to be an astronaut. I was obsessed with space, stars, planets, everything about the universe.
An astronaut? That's amazing. What made you so interested in space?
Well, my dad bought me this book about the solar system when I was 6. It had these beautiful pictures of Saturn with its rings, and I just remember thinking, I want to go there. I want to see that with my own eyes. Every night I would look out my window at the stars and imagine myself floating among them.
That's such a pure, beautiful dream. Did you do anything to work toward that dream?
I tried. I read every space book in our local library. I watched every documentary about NASA. I even tried to build a rocket in my backyard using cardboard boxes and aluminum foil. My mom was not impressed when I asked if I could use her good cooking pots as rocket fuel containers.
Oh no, what did she say?
She said, Michael, you can dream about space, but my pots are staying on Earth in the kitchen where they belong. We both laugh about it now.
That's hilarious. But you know what I love about that story? Even though you didn't become an astronaut, that dream taught you something important, didn't it?
Absolutely. It taught me to be curious, to ask questions, to read and learn. Those skills have helped me in everything I've done since then. Even though I'm not floating in space, I'm still exploring, just in different ways.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about today, because dreams change, they evolve, they transform, but they never really die. They just take different shapes.
I love that perspective. What about you, Sarah? What was your childhood dream?
Mine was very different from yours. I wanted to be a teacher, but not just any teacher. I wanted to be the kind of teacher who changed people's lives. I had this one teacher, Mrs. Robinson, in 4th grade, and she made me feel like I could do anything.
What did she do that was so special?
She noticed me. That sounds simple, but it's everything. I was a shy kid, very quiet, always sitting in the back. But Mrs. Robinson saw something in me. One day, she asked me to help another student with reading, and she said, Sarah has a gift for explaining things clearly. That one sentence changed how I saw myself.
One sentence. It's incredible how powerful words can be.
Yes. From that moment, I started raising my hand more, participating more, believing more in my own voice. And I thought, I want to do this for other people. I want to help them find their voice.
And here you are today, teaching English to people all over the world through this podcast. So your dream actually came true, just in a modern way.
Exactly. I'm not standing in a traditional classroom, but I'm still teaching, still hopefully helping people find confidence in their communication. The dream stayed alive. It just adapted to new technology and possibilities.
This is such an important point for our listeners. Your dreams don't have to look exactly like you imagined them when you were 8 years old. They can grow, change, and adjust to who you become.
Right, and that brings us to today's main topic, the difference between dreams and goals, and how to keep moving forward even when the path isn't clear.
For our listeners who are learning English, we want to make sure you understand these two words clearly, dream and goal. They sound similar, but they're actually different.
Let me explain. A dream is big, often emotional, sometimes even a little vague. It's the feeling of what you want your life to be like. For example, I dream of having a peaceful life, or I dream of being successful.
A goal, on the other hand, is specific, measurable, and actionable. It's something you can actually plan and work towards step by step. For example, my goal is to save $500 this month, or my goal is to practice English for 20 minutes every day.
So, if your dream is to speak English fluently, that's beautiful and inspiring, but it's big and undefined. What does fluent mean exactly? When will you reach it? How will you know?
But if your goal is, I will have a 10-minute conversation in English with a native speaker by the end of this month, now you have something concrete. You can plan for it, practice for it, and measure whether you achieved it.
Does this distinction make sense to everyone? The dream is the inspiration, the why. The goal is the action plan, the how.
And you need both. If you only have dreams without goals, you might feel inspired but never actually move forward. You're like a car with fuel but no map.
And if you only have goals without dreams, you'll be very busy and productive, but you'll eventually ask yourself, why am I doing all this? What's the point? You're like a car following a map, but with no real destination you care about.
That's such a good analogy. You need the dream to give you direction and motivation, and you need the goals to give you daily action steps.
So let's talk practically. How can our listeners identify their real dreams? Because sometimes we think we want something, but it's actually what other people expect from us. I have a simple exercise that might help. Imagine you have no limitations, no money problems, no time restrictions, no fear of failure, no judgment from others. In that completely free scenario, what would you do with your life?
That's a powerful question. It removes all the practical barriers that usually stop us from dreaming honestly.
And here's the thing, your answer might surprise you. You might think you want a big house and an expensive car, but when you remove all limitations, you might realize you actually just want more time with your family, or the freedom to travel, or the ability to help people.
I tried this exercise myself last year, and it completely changed my perspective. I always thought I wanted to climb the corporate ladder, get promotions, earn more money. But when I imagined total freedom, I realized I actually wanted more time to read, write, and have meaningful conversations.
And what did you do with that realization?
I started making small changes. I couldn't quit my job immediately. I have bills to pay, responsibilities, but I started saying no to some extra projects that would bring money but take my time. I started waking up 30 minutes earlier to write. I joined a book club to have those meaningful conversations.
So you took your dream and broke it down into achievable goals that fit your current life situation.
Exactly. And I'm happier now than I was when I was chasing what I thought I should want.
This is so important for our English learners, too. Maybe you feel pressure to learn English for a job or an exam, and that's valid. But ask yourself, if there was no pressure, no requirement, would I still want to learn this language? And if yes, why?
Your personal why is like fuel for difficult days. When grammar feels impossible or pronunciation frustrates you, remembering your real reason helps you continue.
Let me share some common whys I've heard from students over the years. Maybe listeners will recognize themselves in these.
Yes, please do. I think this will be really helpful.
Some people want to learn English to connect with family members who speak it. Maybe their children moved to an English-speaking country, or they married someone whose family speaks English. Their why is love and connection.
That's beautiful. What else?
Others want to learn English for personal growth and confidence. They feel limited when they travel or meet new people. They want to express their thoughts, their humor, their personality. Their why is self-expression.
I've met people like that. They're often very articulate in their native language, and it frustrates them when they can't show that same intelligence and wit in English.
Exactly. Then there are people who want to learn English for career opportunities, which is very practical. But even within this category, the specific why matters. Some want to change jobs entirely, while others want to feel more confident in their current position.
And some people learn English simply because they love learning. They enjoy the challenge, the puzzle of language, the satisfaction of improvement. Their why is intellectual curiosity.
Yes, and none of these reasons is better than the others. They're all valid. The important thing is knowing your own why so you can design goals that actually serve your dream.
So let's talk about designing those goals, because I think this is where many people struggle. They have a dream, they even know their why, but they don't know how to break it down into daily actions.
Right, and this is where we need to talk about SMART goals. Have you heard of this, listeners? It's an acronym that helps you create effective goals.
Let's break it down. SMART. The S stands for specific. Your goal should be clear and detailed, not vague.
For example, instead of saying, I want to improve my English, say, I want to improve my English speaking skills, specifically my ability to talk about my work in meetings.
See the difference? The second one is specific. You know exactly what area you're targeting.
The M stands for measurable. You should be able to track your progress and know when you've achieved the goal.
So instead of, I want to read more in English, you might say, I want to read one English article per week. Now you can count and measure.
The A stands for achievable. Your goal should challenge you but not be impossible given your current situation.
This is where people often make mistakes. They set goals that are too ambitious for their current circumstances, then feel like failures when they can't achieve them.
If you're a complete beginner in English and you set a goal to have a 30-minute business presentation ready in 1 week, that's probably not achievable. You're setting yourself up for disappointment.
But if you say, I'll learn and practice 10 useful business phrases this week, that's challenging but achievable.
The R stands for relevant. Your goal should actually matter to your bigger dream. It should move you in the right direction.
For instance, if your dream is to speak English confidently with friends, spending hours memorizing academic vocabulary might not be the most relevant goal. You'd be better off learning conversational phrases and practicing casual dialogue.
Exactly. And finally, the T stands for time-bound. Your goal should have a deadline.
This creates healthy urgency. Without a time frame, goals tend to float away into someday, which often means never.
So a complete SMART goal might sound like this. In the next 2 weeks, I will watch 3 English language videos about cooking and write a 1-paragraph summary of each video in my notebook.
Let's check it. Is it specific? Yes, you're watching videos about cooking and writing summaries. Is it measurable? Yes, 3 videos, 1 paragraph each. Is it achievable? For most intermediate learners, yes. Is it relevant? If your dream is to feel comfortable with everyday English, absolutely. Is it time-bound? Yes, 2 weeks.
Perfect. That's a well-designed goal that will actually move you forward.
Now, I want to address something really important. What happens when you set a goal and you fail to achieve it?
Oh, this is crucial because failure is not the end of your dream. It's actually information.
Information? Can you explain that?
When you fail to meet a goal, instead of just feeling bad about yourself, ask questions. Why didn't I achieve this? Was the goal too ambitious? Did I underestimate how busy I would be? Did I lose motivation? Was my approach wrong?
So failure becomes a learning opportunity rather than a judgment of your worth.
Exactly. Let me give you a personal example. Last year, I set a goal to create 1 podcast episode per week. I managed for about 3 weeks, then completely fell apart.
What happened?
At first, I just felt guilty and disappointed in myself, but then I analyzed it. I realized that 1 episode per week required about 6 hours of work, planning, recording, editing, publishing, and I simply didn't have 6 hours every single week given my other responsibilities.
So the goal itself was the problem, not you.
Right. The goal was not achievable for my current life situation, so I adjusted. I changed my goal to 1 episode every 2 weeks, which required 3 hours per week. That was sustainable.
And now you're succeeding with the adjusted goal instead of continuing to fail at the unrealistic one.
Exactly. My dream didn't change. I still wanted to reach English learners through podcasting, but my goal had to adapt to reality.
This flexibility is so important. I think many people have an all or nothing mindset. They think, if I can't do it perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all.
That mindset kills more dreams than any external obstacle. Perfect is the enemy of good.
Can you explain that phrase, perfect is the enemy of good? I love it, but our listeners might not know it.
It means that waiting for perfect conditions or perfect performance often prevents you from doing anything at all. You wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect mood, and meanwhile, time passes and nothing happens.
It's better to do something imperfectly than to do nothing while waiting for perfection.
Yes, if you want to practice English speaking, but you're waiting until your grammar is perfect and your accent is perfect, you'll never start speaking. But if you start speaking now, with mistakes, with an accent, you'll actually improve.
Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time.
I want that on a t-shirt. Can we make that happen?
Maybe that should be Study English Online merchandise. But seriously, let's talk about another obstacle people face, other people's opinions and criticism.
Oh, this is a big one. You get excited about a dream, you start working towards goals, and then someone, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, says something discouraging.
Like, you're too old to learn English now, or that's impossible, or why are you wasting your time?
Those comments hurt, especially when they come from people we love and respect. How can our listeners protect their dreams from negative voices?
First, understand where the negativity usually comes from. Most of the time, it's not really about you.
What do you mean?
When someone criticizes your dream, they're often projecting their own fears, regrets, or limitations onto you. Maybe they tried something similar and failed, so they assume you will too. Maybe they're afraid that if you succeed and change, your relationship will change.
So it's about them, not about your actual ability or potential.
Exactly. My dad once told me, "Michael, you read too much. You should focus on more practical things." That hurt at the time, but years later I realized he was just expressing his own relationship with education. He grew up poor and had to leave school early to work. Books represented something he couldn't have, so they made him uncomfortable.
It wasn't really about you or your reading. It was about his unresolved feelings about his own education.
Right. Once I understood that, I could hear his comment without letting it stop me. I could think, I love you, Dad, and I understand your perspective, but I'm going to keep reading because it brings me joy and growth.
That's such a mature and compassionate way to handle criticism. You don't have to argue or prove yourself. You just acknowledge their perspective and continue on your path.
Another strategy is to be selective about who you share your dreams with, especially in the early stages.
Oh, this is important. Your dreams are like seeds. They need protection when they're small and fragile.
Beautiful analogy. If you plant a seed and immediately expose it to harsh weather, it might not survive. But if you protected it first, let it develop roots and strength, then it can withstand challenges.
So maybe don't announce your English learning goals to your most critical relative at the beginning. Share with supportive friends, teachers, or online communities where people understand and encourage your journey.
And as your confidence grows and you start seeing progress, other people's opinions will affect you less because you'll have your own evidence of success.
Yes, your own results become more powerful than anyone else's doubts.
Now, let's talk about a different kind of obstacle, internal obstacles, not criticism from others, but from yourself.
The voice in your own head that says, I'm not smart enough, I'm too old, I've tried before and failed, I don't have enough time, I'm not disciplined enough.
That voice can be the loudest and most convincing critic because it knows all your weak spots.
How do you deal with that internal negative voice?
First, recognize that everyone has that voice. Even very successful people doubt themselves sometimes. You're not alone or unusual.
That's comforting, actually. I sometimes think successful people just naturally have confidence and no doubts, but that's not true, is it?
Not at all. The difference is not that successful people don't have doubts, it's that they don't let doubts make their decisions.
Can you explain that more?
Sure, imagine you want to practice English speaking, but your internal voice says, "You'll sound stupid, your accent is terrible, people will judge you." A successful learner hears that voice but says, "Thank you for sharing your concern, but I'm going to practice anyway."
So you acknowledge the doubt without obeying it.
Exactly. It's like a worried passenger in your car. You can hear them saying, "Are you sure about this route?" But you're still the driver. You make the final decision.
I love that. The doubt can come along for the ride, but it's not driving the car.
Another technique is to talk back to negative thoughts with evidence.
Evidence?
Yes, if your brain says, "You never finish anything," you can counter with specific examples. Actually, I finished that online course last year. I completed my project at work. I learned to cook 3 new recipes. Reality check the negative thought with facts.
So you're building a case against your own negativity using truth.
Right. And over time, as you collect more evidence of your capability and persistence, the negative voice gets quieter because it can't compete with reality.
This is so practical. I hope our listeners are taking notes, or at least really listening to this part.
Let's talk about one more internal obstacle: comparison. With social media, it's so easy to compare your progress to everyone else's.
Oh, this is dangerous. You see someone posting about their perfect English, their amazing opportunity, their fluent conversation, and you think, "I'm so far behind. I'll never be like that."
But here's what you're forgetting. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel.
What does that mean?
You see their success, their finished product, their best moment, but you don't see their struggles, their failures, their hours of practice, their moments of doubt. You only see the polished result.
So it's not a fair comparison at all.
Not at all. It's like watching a beautiful building and thinking, "I could never build that," while forgetting that what you're seeing took years of planning, construction, mistakes, and corrections. You're not seeing the scaffolding, the blueprint, or the rejected designs.
So what should people do instead of comparing?
Compare yourself only to your past self. Ask, "Am I better than I was 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago?"
That's the only comparison that matters, because it's the only one that's actually fair and relevant to your journey.
If you couldn't have a 5-minute conversation in English last year, but you can now, that's success. It doesn't matter if someone else can have a 2-hour conversation. You're on your own timeline.
Everyone's journey is different. Different starting points, different obstacles, different speeds, different paths, and that's okay.
More than okay. It's how it should be. Diversity of experience makes life interesting.
Let's shift now to talk about practical daily habits that support dreams and goals. Because we can have the perfect plan, but if we don't actually do something every day, nothing changes.
Right. Consistency is more important than intensity.
Can you explain that?
Sure. It's better to study English for 15 minutes every single day than to study for 3 hours once a week.
Why? 3 hours is more time than 15 minutes times 7 days.
Actually, 15 minutes times 7 days is 1 hour 45 minutes, so it's more time total. But even beyond that, daily practice creates momentum and habit. Your brain stays engaged with the language constantly.
Whereas one long session per week means your brain goes 6 days without English, and you probably forget much of what you learned by the next session.
Exactly. Language learning specifically benefits from frequent exposure, even in small doses.
So how can listeners build that daily consistency? Because knowing you should do it and actually doing it are very different things.
One powerful technique is called habit stacking.
Habit stacking? What's that?
It means you attach your new habit to an existing habit that's already automatic in your life.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you already drink coffee every morning. That's automatic. You don't think about it, you just do it. So you could stack your English practice onto that habit. While I drink my morning coffee, I will listen to 5 minutes of an English podcast.
So the existing habit, coffee, becomes the trigger for the new habit, English.
Exactly. You're using something your brain already does automatically to remind you of the new behavior you want to develop.
What are some other examples of habit stacking for English learners?
After I brush my teeth at night, I will read 1 page in my English book. During my lunch break, I will practice 5 new vocabulary words. During my bus wait, I will review my flashcards.
I see. You're fitting English into the natural rhythm of your day rather than trying to find new, completely separate time for it.
Yes, because finding new time is hard, but moments already exist in your day. You're just filling them with something purposeful.
Another technique I love is called lowering the bar.
Lowering the bar? That sounds like giving up.
I know, it sounds wrong, but hear me out. The idea is to make the first step so small and easy that you can't say no to it.
Okay, I'm interested. Explain more.
Let's say you want to practice English speaking every day, but that feels overwhelming. So you lower the bar. Your only requirement is to say 1 sentence out loud in English. Just 1.
That's very small.
That's the point. It's so small that even on your most tired, busy, stressed day, you can still do it. And here's what happens. Once you say 1 sentence, you often naturally continue.
Because starting is the hardest part. Once you're already doing it, continuing is easier.
Exactly. But even if you truly only say 1 sentence, you still maintained your daily habit. You kept your promise to yourself, and that matters psychologically.
So it's better to do a tiny bit every day than to have this big, impressive practice session that you only do occasionally.
Right, because the daily tiny action builds identity. You start to see yourself as someone who practices English every day, even if it's small.
And that identity shift is powerful. It changes how you think about yourself and your capabilities.
I have another practical tip: environment design.
Environment design. That sounds fancy.
It's actually very simple. It means arranging your physical space to make good habits easier and bad habits harder.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. If you want to read in English before bed, but you always end up on your phone instead, put your English book on your pillow and put your phone charger in another room.
So when you go to bed, you encounter the book first, and your phone isn't easily available.
Exactly. You're removing friction from the good habit, book is right there, easy to start, and adding friction to the bad habit, phone requires getting up and going to another room.
What other examples can you think of?
If you want to practice English vocabulary in the morning, put your flashcards next to your coffee maker. The cards are right there when you're making your coffee, so you're more likely to use them.
Or if you want to listen to English podcasts during exercise, download the episodes the night before so they're ready to play immediately when you start your workout.
Yes, remove any barrier between you and the action you want to take.
This is all about making success easier and more automatic.
Exactly, because willpower is limited. If you have to fight yourself every single day, you'll eventually lose. But if you design your environment well, you don't need much willpower. The right choice becomes the easy choice.
I think we should also talk about tracking progress, because when you're working on a long-term goal, it's easy to feel like nothing is happening.
Yes, progress in language learning especially can feel invisible because it happens gradually.
So how can people track their progress in a motivating way?
One simple method is a habit tracker, just a calendar where you mark each day you practice. Some people use an X, some use a sticker, some use a check mark.
And what's the benefit of this?
Visually, you can see your consistency building. You can see the chain of days growing longer. And psychologically, you don't want to break the chain.
It becomes a game or a challenge with yourself.
Right. I've practiced for 12 days straight. I don't want to break my streak now.
But what if you do break the streak? What if you miss a day?
Then you just start again the next day. One missed day doesn't erase all your previous days. The goal is progress, not perfection.
Never miss twice. Is that the rule?
Exactly. Missing once is life. Missing twice is starting a new bad habit. So if you miss one day, make absolutely sure you practice the next day.
What about tracking progress in terms of actual skill improvement, not just consistency?
That's a great question. I recommend recording yourself periodically, maybe once a month, speaking about the same topic in English.
So you can compare and hear the improvement over time?
Yes, because daily you might not notice much change, but when you compare yourself speaking in January to yourself speaking in June, the difference can be dramatic and very motivating.
That's concrete evidence that your effort is working.
Another tracking method is keeping a vocabulary journal, where you note new words you learn and then review it monthly to see how much your vocabulary has expanded.
Or keeping a folder of essays or writing samples so you can see your written English improving over time.
These tangible records combat the feeling of, I'm not getting anywhere, because you have proof that you are, in fact, making progress.
Now, I want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough: celebrating small wins.
Oh, yes, this is so important. People often think, I'll celebrate when I'm fluent, or I'll celebrate when I reach my big goal, but that's months or years away.
And meanwhile, you're working hard every day with no acknowledgement, no reward, no celebration. That's exhausting and demotivating.
So, what should people do instead?
Celebrate small milestones along the way. Finished 1 week of consistent practice? Celebrate. Had your first full conversation in English? Celebrate. Understood a movie scene without subtitles? Celebrate.
What does celebrating look like? I don't think people need to throw a party for every small achievement.
No, though that would be fun. Celebration can be small but meaningful. Maybe you buy yourself your favorite treat, or take an evening off to relax guilt-free, or share your achievement with a friend who will be genuinely happy for you.
The point is to acknowledge to yourself, I did something difficult and I succeeded. That matters.
Yes, your brain needs to associate hard work with positive feelings, not just struggle and stress. Otherwise, it will resist continuing.
Celebration creates positive reinforcement. It tells your brain, this is good. We should keep doing this.
And it builds confidence. Each small win is evidence that you're capable, that you're making progress, that your dream is achievable.
Before we wrap up this episode, I want to make sure we talk about something very real: seasons of life when you can't pursue your goals as actively as you'd like.
Yes, this happens to everyone. Maybe you have a family emergency, or an intense work period, or health issues, or just general overwhelm.
And during these times, people often feel guilty about not working towards their dreams. They feel like failures.
But here's the truth. Taking a break doesn't mean quitting. Pausing doesn't mean failing.
Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is rest, recover, and take care of urgent priorities. Your dream will wait for you.
I think the key distinction is between pausing with intention and abandoning your dream.
What do you mean by that?
Pausing with intention means you consciously decide, for the next 2 weeks, I need to focus on this family situation. I'm not going to practice English daily, and that's okay. I'll return to it when things stabilize.
Versus just gradually drifting away without really deciding anything, and suddenly 3 months have passed and you haven't thought about your goal at all.
Right. The first one is a strategic pause. The second one is losing your dream through neglect.
So if you need to pause, make it conscious. Tell yourself, I'm pausing for these 2 weeks, and on this date, I'll reevaluate and likely restart.
And maybe during the pause, you do some tiny maintenance action, just enough to keep the connection alive.
Like what?
Maybe you can't do your usual 20-minute practice, but you could still listen to one English song, or read one paragraph, or think about your goal for 2 minutes, just something that says, I haven't forgotten.
That micro action maintains the identity. You're still a person working towards this dream, just in a slower season.
And when you're ready to fully engage again, it's much easier to resume because you never completely stopped.
All right, Michael, I think we've covered so much today. Let's start wrapping up. What do you want listeners to remember most from this episode?
I want them to remember that dreams and goals work together. Your dream gives you inspiration and direction. Your goals give you daily action steps.
And progress doesn't have to be fast or dramatic. Small, consistent actions compound over time into significant results.
Also, be kind to yourself. You'll have good days and hard days, success and setbacks. That's normal. What matters is that you keep coming back.
Your dream doesn't need a perfect you. It just needs a persistent you.
I love that. What about you, Sarah? What do you want listeners to take away?
I want them to know their dreams are valid, even if they seem small or different from other people's dreams. You don't have to want what everyone else wants.
Your dream is yours. Own it.
And start today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Today. Even if today's action is tiny, 5 minutes, 1 sentence, 1 step.
Because today is the only day you actually have. Tomorrow is just a concept.
Before we say goodbye, we want to ask our listeners to do something. First, please like this episode and subscribe to Study English Online. It helps other learners find us.
And second, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell us, I'm, your name, from, your country, and one small step I will take toward my dream this week is...
It can be about English learning or about any other dream in your life. We read every comment, and your words might inspire someone else who reads them.
We're building a community here of people who believe in growth, who support each other, who understand that learning and dreaming are lifelong journeys.
And you're part of that community just by listening. Thank you for spending this time with us today.
Remember, your dream matters. Your progress matters. You matter.
Keep going, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.
This was Study English Online Podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Sarah. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourself and your dreams.
Bye, everyone.